Mr. Bob Parrish, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
I'm glad to have you here today at Maxs Garaj Mahal. I've got a few questions I'd like to ask you if you don't mind.
Great, I'll be glad to answer anything.
Well, you're a fine young man.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, it's just an observation on my part.
Yeah.
And I have known you for several ice cream seasons now.
That's correct. Yeah, long time.
I've known you when you were a grocer here in town and took
That's
care
right.
of a great, large deal of people in this fine city. And then you retired and decided to run for
County Judge.
county judge. And you were successful in doing so.
1996. Took
Well,
office in
and I
1997.
appreciate your service. Believe me, anybody, including everyone that's in offices today, I appreciate them. It's a tough old road to hoe.
More so now,
you know,
since I've been through the ring.
Well, I understand that, and I do appreciate you again. What we're here to talk about today is the 1 cent tax that Searcy is collecting for, and it's supposed to sunset, I believe, in 22.
2022, this is 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, can you tell me from your best recollection what that tax was slated to do what it was advertised to do when they put it on the table?
Well, what my recollection was, it was to get matching money for Highway 13 bypass. And that was a state aid road, and Searcy did not have enough money to meet their portion of their matching money for the state. Like the county, on one side of that Highway 13, the county paid their portion.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Searcy was to pay their portion.
Yeah.
So they was going to do that and sunset it in 2022, and they were going to build a swimming pool. And they both have been built.
Okay.
That was a temporary tax. Now they say they want to make it permanent.
And the county did participate in this.
In
this matching fund.
Yeah,
So
I wasn't the judge. Judge Lincoln was the judge when that came up, but the county had the revenue to do it, and they met with the state. I say they met with the state.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there, but the state, the city, and the county matched funds with the state to build Highway 13 from Judge Sonia around
right. Well,
Honey Road.
and as a concerned citizen, you've kept your thumb on the pulse of Searcy and White County.
I knew what was going on.
Okay.
I think I did, and I think.
Well, I've
And
known you for a long
citizen.
time, and we've talked a lot over the years. And
I'm a citizen of Searcy, and I'm proud to live in Searcy. I love Searcy. This is where I live. My main living here.
Searcy's a great town, and I love it as
Great,
well.
yeah.
And I've been here 69 years, so I intend to, if they'll allow me to stay.
Yeah.
So,
And let me tell you this before
Okay.
we get started. I'm for Searcy. I'm not against the kids.
oh no, I know you're not. You have children, by the way. And
Right.
grandchildren, if I remember right.
Yeah, I have now, yes. But what I want is the people in Searcy know the truth.
Yeah, okay,
Well,
that's what we're here to
that's
find
what I'm
out.
out here for.
That's what I want to know as well.
No.
All right, so we have the 1 cent coming in. It's been coming in for a little over 6 years. And how much does that normally take in on a yearly basis?
Well, I don't know on that particular penny what it takes in, because that goes up.
Well, no, the county has a penny too, right?
Yeah, that's right. County has a penny
All right,
and a
well, let me
half.
ask you that.
Penny has a 1 cent and a half.
1.5 cent, okay.
Okay, 1/2. 1/2 cents was passed under my administration. I pushed it hard to build a new jail and maintain it. It's continuous tax. The half penny is continuous tax. It was to build a jail and maintain it in our law enforcement. That's why it's called a law enforcement.
Now, let me ask you this real quick. I want to stop you for just a moment. Now, you were building a new jail, and the reason for that was the original jail downtown, which is where the original county shed was when I was a child. It had all kinds of defects
Oh, it
from
had a
the
lot
day
of-
it was born, right?
It was out of compliance, number
right.
one.
Okay, so that's the reason why you were seeking to build a new jail.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And that's the 1/2 cent that I pushed for and got, and
Right.
it's still in effect and always will be in effect for the law enforcement center of White County.
And
that-
we have to support our law enforcement.
That's
I mean,
correct.
we
Oh,
have
I'm
to-
100% law
You
enforcement.
bet,
Yes,
you
sir.
bet.
So
So
we don't have law enforcement.
We're in
how
trouble.
we-
We're
how we
just out of
stay
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on the county, let's go back to the county then. So the county has 1.5 cents. 1 cent they share with the cities of the
That's
county.
correct.
And we have 16?
We have 16 incorporated cities in White
16
County.
incorporated cities. And how is that broke down from the money that the county shares?
Okay, that 1 penny that was passed, and went all the way to Supreme Court there, Mr. Hughes, and it went all the way through Supreme Court, and we had to get that reinstated in 1998 under when I was county judge,
Okay.
because White County, they said, was participating in illegal exaction. And the reason, the purpose of it was because all the cities were getting a part of the revenue, but they weren't on the ballot. So we killed that ballot, and Senator Reeves, governor at that time, helped us. We went back and got that penny reinstated, and that penny is reinstated permanently.
Okay.
And the cities share that. Every incorporated city in the county shares that 1 cent tax.
Okay, now I'm not going to feed you these numbers because I think I already know them, but there is a percentage that the county shares with those 16 corporations, and the county got how much of that?
County gets about 48% of that
Okay.
1 cent penny.
All right, so the other 16 cities get the remainder.
About 52% of it.
52%. Okay, so how's that broke down, or who gets the majority or the lion's share of the 52%? Since Searcy is the largest of these, and a county seat, what is the?
Yeah, they're the capital precinct of our county. They got
Right.
the most population in our county.
Right, with the micropolis of White County.
That's correct.
Okay, so they get, what is that?
Approximately
10%?
30, they get
30%.
approximately 30% of the 1 penny.
All right, and that, now I've got some numbers here that I've received, and I'm not going to feed them to you, but let's see if you can give me an idea of the numbers that it was more than 10 and less than $20 million a year. So approximately how far off am I at 10 million, or how far off am I at 20 million to say that 1 penny tax was what, $15 million? Halfway?
That 1 penny last year, 2020, we're talking about
2020.
That 1 penny generates somewhere around $15 million.
Okay, so 13 would be still fairly accurate.
13,
So 13 to
be on the
15 million.
low side, yeah.
13 low side, 15 on the high side.
That's
Okay,
correct.
that's what I want to know, and I didn't want to feed you any numbers, which it sounded like I was.
I know at one time it was higher when the gas industry here. That penny was generating a whole lot of money. So it's dropped back some.
Right,
but
on what I want to call the micro bubble, or the bubble that was going to burst, because we knew it would before it started. Because if you remember correctly, as a county judge, you did business with some of our businesses, which was an oil distributor. And by the way, we appreciate you allowing us to serve the county in that way.
We called up on FEMA several times.
Right, yeah,
about 10 years.
I worked for FEMA for a long time as well. So, but my point is that with the monies that you spent for the services you received, we always want to make sure you got what you paid for. And I know that you want to make sure that the citizens of Searcy are getting the same things that they should be receiving for this. But do you think that these, because I've never heard the city let us know that they received this 30% of that 13 to 15
They will
million?
not tell you that, because that percentage that they get of the whole county is more than they actually get off the half cent in their city. So you see why they like for the county to take the burden to pass a tax countywide.
So it's not that they're not receiving the money, they're just not letting us know.
That's correct. They're just not telling you. And that's the purpose of everything. I think the people needs to know exactly where their money is, how much to spend. I mean, that's the way our county operates.
Right.
It's an open door policy, and
Well,
you can
and
walk in
I-
and find out what your budget is.
And I'd like for us all to be able to do that, and they have invited us to do that, which we will be doing. Now, another thing too is you had close to 50 employees as a county judge, correct?
I had 48 at the road department.
Just at the road department alone.
Just the road department alone.
And I know for a fact that y'all service those trucks on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've seen, going past my house for the last 3 weeks, one of these side boom garbage collection vehicles, and they absolutely have not greased those things that I could tell in a long while. So tube of grease is cheaper than a truck, would you say? Would that be an accurate statement?
Yes.
So repairing a truck is not necessarily something that has to take place if it's maintained, and I'm feeding you a line here, but is that a correct statement as well?
That's correct.
Okay. So my problem with this 1 cent tax is, and I've heard some of the recordings from their town hall meetings, and they're talking about, and one just today I heard, the gentleman, Mr. Mayor, was talking about they were taking credit for the infrastructure in this new city mall out here that's got the Hobby Lobby and a couple other stores in it. And isn't that not what the city is supposed to do, is provide infrastructure for all the stores and the residences?
Yeah, I would think so. That's the city's responsibility, just like the county might.
And the county puts in bridges and culverts and things like that to provide services for the county residents as well, and businesses. Mm-hmm. All right, so my question is going to be this. When they provide that infrastructure, which of course is going to be water, sewer, they don't provide electricity, they don't provide natural gas, but they do provide those services. Do they not charge for that money, that service?
I'm sure they do.
I mean,
because that left the county out there.
I mean, it would make sense that they do that. Yeah. And I always was led to believe that the services fees, because they not only have a charge for the water, they have a city fee on top of your tax.
Well, they have a budget. The water department has a budget.
Right.
The fire department has a budget.
Okay.
And every department is different, but they all have budgets.
But they're not having to use any of this 30% of that $13 to $15 million on those, because they have their own income from the services and the city fees. You get a cell phone that you have in your hand, and you pay a city tax on it, and you pay a fee for it, an environmental fee and such as that, which that may not be the correct terminology. And I really don't need to go in this AMP thing, but you have some knowledge that people normally don't know. We are paying AMP tax here in town.
That's correct.
That while you were the county judge, that was passed by one of our former mayors in the council at that time. And y'all got up a referendum to take that off because it wasn't voted on necessarily by the city, correct?
Wasn't voted on by the people.
Right. So
and I, as getting old as I am, I'm still against the people having that much power to indict a fee on the public without them even knowing about it, or if they didn't get a newspaper or radio, they probably would never even know about it. But I'm against tax on food.
Well, I am too.
That's
especially at this time in history, because there's so many people without food right now.
That's correct. And I'm not against. Again, I'm not against the city of Searcy. I'm not against the kids. And they say, well, you're against the kids. No, I'm not against the kids. I want the people to speak, and that's why I worked to get a referendum. And we did, and it was defeated by the people. And
it was in a popular vote, or not a popular vote?
Citywide vote.
Citywide vote. And the city spoke and said no. And it was like a 2-to-1 vote.
I don't remember that.
I can't remember either, and I didn't know if you might remember.
That was somewhere around 206, 27, somewhere.
Right. I think it's 27 maybe.
Something.
All right. So then.
But it was defeated. My point is, it was defeated.
Then it was brought up again in 2019.
Well, David Morris, I don't know how many years Mayor Morris spent in City Hall, but he did not. But as soon as we get a new mayor, Osborne,
It had been 18 then.
Okay.
Yeah.
He and Mr. Lane out to the chamber gets together and said, we've got to have an AMP tax. That's fine. If you don't have an AMP tax, let the people vote on it.
Okay.
That's all. Let the people vote.
And that's what we tried to get as well. And they did table it. I have to give them that. They did table it. They didn't do that. But here's the thing. Then comes along this Matt Faulkner's Think Company and says, well, let's have this My Revolution here in town. And you know, it's a great thing. Brought a lot of people together, brought people from all over the county, some from outside the state and all over the state. That's a wonderful thing. People spent money on Searcy, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate Mr. Faulkner helping us with that. But let me ask you this. Did we get another AMP tax put on us via the city council and the mayor although it was voted down by the city?
It was voted down by the city in like 207, 6
Okay.
or 7, somewhere along in there.
I know you're not a lawyer,
Correct.
and that's the
Amen.
reason. Thank God, and I'm not Catholic, but it never hurts. It doesn't hurt to cross yourself, I guess. But as a layman, would you think that would be a legal? Is that abuse of power if you were still a county judge to say, look, I'm going to overrule the city? Because I understand there was a lawyer on the council that says that we don't know what's good for us, from my understanding. Now, that's not 100% his statement, but that was close. So, as an elected official,
I think I know who you're talking about. And
I'm
we're
sure
not
you
gonna call
probably
no
do.
names,
I'm
but
sure you
I
probably
remember whenever the water department was asking for $1 rate increase,
Mm-hmm.
when they got ready to vote, he said, "Let's just make it 2." And
No
they
kidding.
voted for it. Yep.
now see, that's going against you people. Now, I do know that the water department is supposed to be self-contained as well, just like the garbage. Oh, and speaking of garbage, Mr. Morris, which is now, he was a former mayor and he is now
Alderman.
an alderman, a councilman, he decided that we should have garbage cans throughout the city, silver little cans in our back loaded trucks, and 2 or 3 guys working per truck. And that would have been fine. But we had 2 a week garbage pickup, okay? So, or trash pickup, if you prefer the word. But what did he do? He cut it in half. You live in Searcy, inside the city limits of Searcy. So you lost 1 of your pickups per week.
Yeah.
The price, did it go down?
Not no, not
Go,
no.
so
no.
would that be doubling your cost as a citizen?
Well, you know, the dumpsters that they got now, I'm sure that was an improvement for the city of Searcy, certainly on labor cost. And they had 1 truck with 1 driver. They used to have 3 people on that
Correct.
picking up trash,
Correct.
and it was a poor way, really. I thought that was a great improvement when they got the new dumpster truck
Mm-hmm.
and gave all the residents a new dumpster out there. You can
Well,
hold it for
and
2
I,
weeks.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that.
You know, you can hold it.
Now, there are some people that are elderly and they can't get up their steep drives that they built when they were younger, and so I go help them with that when, you know, so, but I'm only one man. I can only help so many people during the week to help them get their trash in and out. But that's not my point. My point is, if I'm giving you $1 worth of merchandise for $1, then all of a sudden I only start giving you 50 cents worth, but I'm still taking your $1. I just doubled your cost. Is that correct?
That's
Is
right.
that effectively what City of Searcy did on our garbage pickup?
Yeah,
So their cost
that was a saving.
so their cost went down. They saved 50% of their expenses, plus they took two jobs because it only requires 1 man.
They actually
So-
took 3 jobs, but they eliminated 2 people off
Per,
the
per truck,
per truck.
and they eliminated so many trucks as well, because didn't we used to have like 4 of those trucks picking up at a time? Now we only have 2, I believe. From what I could be wrong,
I don't know about that.
and I don't want to. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I apologize to anybody that hears this, and I'm wrong. But my point is, we're getting half the services for more money, and then they went in front of the council, the garbage department, and asked for a raise, and they got another raise on top of that. So not only have we got half the services at the full price, now we got a higher price. So how would you, if you were approached by the JPs to do that, how would you think about that? Would you even consider as a judge, a county judge, to continue to charge the full price for half the service?
Well, you know, I don't know how Searcy Council works, but I know how our department works with JPs in different districts. You know, they would probably find some other way to use that other portion of that money in some other department. While I was judge, what really
But
hurt.
wouldn't that money be just as valuable to the person you're taking it from
Yes,
as it
yes,
would be
yeah,
to the
yeah,
county?
At that point, yes.
That is my point, that to me, my money is actually more valuable to me than it is to the city, because the city is going to tax and spend.
Yeah.
So is the county, and I understand as a government entity you have to do that, but you should only take, in my opinion, isn't a government only supposed to take enough money to take care of the necessities?
To operate with.
Right. So, okay.
But you will never see a county or a city give any money back.
No, you're not going to get your money back.
Yeah,
So
no.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, but they could lower the price when they got rid of the people.
I think
and
they could manage their money better by washing
That's
their cup and servicing their equipment and washing.
Greasing them would help,
Yeah.
washing them would help.
I think that's where that extra money ought to go to.
Okay, and back on this AP thing real quickly, that they take 1% on food and 3% on motels. Correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, am I correct in saying that there is a huge possibility, since the city council has, from what I understood, and this is from another conversation earlier today, that the A&P is a standalone commission. If they see that they need more money, is there anything they can do to increase this 1%?
Absolutely. They can go to the city council, the commission can. If they can't meet we're talking about bonds. If we talk about bonds for 29 years, let's just say an event that in this area is generating this money. I'm talking about restaurants serving alcohol, restaurants serving food, our motels, hotels that are servicing these people. They say, well, this comes from out of state. Yes, I understand. It comes from out of town, and they pay the motel and they eat. Yeah, but we also got people in the city eats too.
Correct.
In our restaurant. And I'm, like I said before, I'm strictly against tax on food, because that is something we all have to survive in our lifetime.
And this A&P, it's collected primarily from the citizens in town, as well as all those that come into town to work or just come in to enjoy a
lot of our people out in the county come into Searcy to eat dinner, work maybe suburbs of Searcy, and come to restaurants and eat. And
they have to come to town to shop for the most part, because small towns like Judge Sony, Higginson, Kensett, they don't have large grocery stores. They don't have dry goods stores and such as that anymore. Correct. So they're pretty much forced to come in. And I guess my point would be this A&P that they're trying to tie that up for 29 years. And if when I understood from listening to that town hall, they want to pave the parking at the ball fields. Is that necessary?
Well, I don't think it's necessary, but I'm a citizen of Searcy. I'm not a politician. I'm not running for anything.
And I understand. I'm just asking you your personal.
But let me go back to see this A&P commission. If they see that they can't meet their payment, and this is something that the mayor has never explained to the people, and that's what I'd like to see explained. Number 2 is...
All right, now Bob, I'm sorry. We had to change the memory card here, because this is a low budget production for Max Media News here and Maxs Garaj Mahal. So we were talking about the A&P tax, and you were just explaining to us how the A&P commission could go to the city council and could say that they couldn't meet their bonds, particularly if they weren't able to collect as much that month as is necessary. And you had talked about it was 1 cent on the food, 3 cents on the motels, and it could go as
high as 3%. That's 1 penny on the dollar. It could go up to 3% on food, and it could go up to 5% on motels and hotels.
All right. Now, well, let me ask you this. Now, that brings to mind. So this A&P tax that they're getting, and the ballparks that they're saying that they want to build with this and tie that A&P tax up for 29 years, isn't this sort of a convoluted deal where they're sort of making it where if they bring people in, they have to pay that 1% and 3% at this time?
Well, if they eat,
and if they stay overnight, right?
If they eat in the city limits of Searcy, they're going to pay A&P. They're going to pay an A&P tax.
But I mean, that's sort of like trapping people, isn't it?
Not to a point, yes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
But
just,
it-
I mean,
okay.
I'm just being the devil's advocate here. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
well, I'm just telling you that they can go up to 3% on food, 5% on
well,
motels.
wouldn't it be, to me, for the citizens of Searcy that lives here, what about this? What if they were to get exemptions from the A&P? Wouldn't that make sense? Because where are they collecting most of this money? It's not coming from people from out of town, because this has been 9 months of COVID, and people can't really go to ball games, and they can't really go to ball fields and such as that. They can't really collect and be in crowds. So the A&P, I'm sure, is down quite a bit in the last year. But my question would be, wouldn't it be to be fair to the people of the city, and people has to come in and work to the city? They're being penalized to even be in Searcy to work because they have no representation outside of the city. They passed it, and again, my opinion, abuse of power, because they passed it after it was voted down. So is there any such thing you've ever heard of as an exemption card for somebody who lives in the city, or somebody has to come to the city and work in the city? It's not they're not here for sport, just coming in to eat or something like that. If they're having to work here, I think they ought to have an exemption card, sort of like Harding gives kids a card to use for every place in town to eat. They get a discount. We should have an exemption card. Does that sound right to you?
Well, it's something to think about, something that should be discussed, yeah. The council should discuss that. I guess, all I want to do is be fair to the city of Searcy, and we got to look back and see who is really pushing this issue.
Now, that's another thing, too. I was going to ask you that, so I'm glad you brought that up. But who do you, now don't call any names, but what type of people, now not type as in what color hair, eyes, something like that, but what kind of businesses would they be in that would it be stockbrokers or bonds? Because most times stockbrokers are bonds people. So this is a bond, which means the city is going to purchase a bond or sell a bond, I guess. And someone has to purchase that bond, right?
Someone's got to buy the bonds.
So it's going to be someone that...
Because what they're actually doing is the city council. You're giving the city council giving the power to an unelectable individual, because they're appointed by the city council, the mayor, and the city council AOKs them. They're appointed, those commissioners are appointed by the mayor. And once you're giving the power to some people that's not electable, they're yes, sir, to the mayor. You know. Then, but you want to look back and see, there's a little further down the way.
So it's like the A&P Commission.
That's right, A&P Commissioner. And it's customary, there's a lot of stuff. Do they really know what? I'm not saying they don't know what they're doing, but I do know. Let's look around and see who's pushing this. Does the city really want this? Or does
Now you say, does the city really want this? Are you saying, does the citizens of Searcy want this?
That's correct.
Not the city council.
Not the city
mayor.
council, the mayor.
Yeah.
Who's selling the bonds?
Yeah, there we go.
Who's making money on the bonds? Now let's look around, and I'm not going to call no name. Let's look and see where those signs are posted on. Who sells the bonds? Who sells bonds in Searcy, Arkansas? Who buys bonds? I think that's the point that we need to get to. And
So we're talking special interest here.
We're talking.
It's going to this is going to benefit
also,
someone. This cent tax is not necessarily benefiting the majority of the citizens. It's probably benefiting special interests such as someone selling bonds, and someone that's probably doing dirt work or selling materials to fences or bleacher material or to build their concession stand. Someone got money out of this, right?
Oh, there's always
So
money.
that would be a special interest they hired to do that. So they're looking to vote for that. But what about the average person?
The average person, and I've always said this in politics, really the average person don't know if they have ever worked in the city or county government official. Average person don't know what's going on. They trust that you know what's doing, and they believe you, and if they believe in you, they will vote for you.
Okay.
That's the way I believe in politics. But all I want for Searcy is, I don't want to see our city in debt for 29 years on a ball field that could be tore up. What, in 5 years'
Well,
time?
in that ball field, wasn't there a gas pipeline that come across next to your?
My understanding from what I've read, and I don't know about.
Because I know when I was looking at that property, buy that out there, the reason why I didn't buy it is there was a gas pipeline went right across it, and I found out about that, and it didn't have any display on it of any kind until I saw it back there behind the property that the county purchased to put the gel on, but it wasn't on the county property. It was on the next piece behind you. So if it had been on you, would you have looked at purchasing that property for the government of White County?
No, I wouldn't.
But
Number one,
is there inherent dangers with that?
Yes, sir. And a natural gas pipeline certainly is.
Well, it brings to mind, natural or oil transfer either one, because look over here at Conway. What was that, 5 years ago when a whole neighborhood was lost over that? So, but now, from what I understand, and several people have said this in social media, that there is a pipeline, and I believe I heard that from a lawyer here in town that I spoke to just a couple of days ago, that there's a pipeline goes through that entire facility. So is there inherent dangers with that, or possible inherent dangers with that?
Absolutely. And, there's a lot to be involved as a pipeline going, and because they have the legal rights to replace and repair their maintenance of their pipeline, gas or oil, and they can't wait till you get the ball team off the field and set up a tournament. You got to get going on something.
Right. So it could be in the middle of the tournament, but my thinking, and I was sort of leaning toward, was I'm not too concerned with them playing ball across that pipeline. But what if one of the children gets out there and starts beating and banging on one of those, if there is such thing out there? That would probably create a danger more than anything else. One of those little aluminum bats.
I would think so.
Yeah, and children can do that. Well, I really appreciate you, sir, coming by here.
Let me tell you this.
Okay, go ahead.
Ask this. For us, just stop and think, man to man. If we put turf out there, or the commission does.
Now, is this something they're talking about?
They're talking about AstroTurf on
AstroTurf
on the ballpark.
Okay.
And if they put that AstroTurf on the ballpark, now we're going to use that approximately 3 months out of the year. Okay?
That's correct.
No more than 3 months. What you can say?
Are they going to take it up the other 9 months then?
But AstroTurf is a sunshine and rain, as they talk like we get, and I know sunshine. Laying something that hard, it's going to get hot and it's going to be repaired. It's going to have to be repaired, I bet, in 5 years' time. What are we going to do then?
Yeah, that's a lot of money just to put it down. Plus, you have to prep all the ground to make it flat and level, smooth.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're talking about an unfair tax. That's my philosophy.
And I feel like it is unfair because
if Searcy really needs that much money, why not the city council? They done this on alcohol.
Right, they do have a 5 cent on alcohol.
They passed a
without a vote, by the way.
Without a vote. Mm-hmm. Why don't the same council go up and annex the country club?
Oh.
And then let's get the revenue.
Now you're talking about the country club of Searcy, Arkansas.
Searcy Country Club.
That ain't going to happen.
Well, I mean, let's be fair.
Right, to be fair, yeah.
Let's be fair.
I like this. I like where you're going.
But let's be fair. The people who are pushing this tax.
I like where you're going.
Let's annex the Searcy Country Club and get revenue off the drinks.
Right.
Get revenue off the food to sell. Let's be fair.
Now, there is no tax on the food they sell?
There's no city tax on the city of Searcy Country Club.
And there's no alcohol tax?
No alcohol. They get no alcohol tax. They get no city tax, period.
Really? I did not know that.
Well, a lot of people.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't know that.
But now the mayor built a nice road goes to the country club.
All right.
Out of our tax dollars, which I think is nice. It's a great thing for Searcy. Mm-hmm. But let's be fair.
Well, I agree. As long as we're getting the infrastructure we need, we're not getting silly ballparks and all that stuff we don't need. We need really good streets. We need really good lighting on our streets, which I realize that's provided by AP&L. But during some parts of the city, I'm sure the city pays for a great deal of that. We need good bridges over creeks. We need good drainage. And yes, they've talked about that, and that's a part of the services that's provided by the city. And I want to see that continue, but I don't want to see them buying equipment that they're not maintaining and keeping up properly. And I talk to people in the city. They come to me and tell me things. And I realize if they do more of the maintenance on the front end, then things last longer on the back end. That's what you did in the county government. And that's why those trucks you bought them used. They lasted for years and years and years. And I know that when someone called you to come out and grade a road, you didn't wait 6 months to do it. You sent someone out to take care of it. And if there was a ditch that wasn't draining,
maybe somebody come to get you.
You sent a grader out there. That's right. Yeah. So, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but to me, it just would make sense that annexing the country club would be a good thing, and let us all pay for it, because I realize a lot of people lives at the country club area out there, and not just there. A lot of people around town are members, but I can understand why they'd be a member if they're not being taxed.
Well, absolutely.
That's not fair.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
It's just not fair.
Let's be fair with City of Searcy. I'm for all the improvements they did, and I appreciate it. I live here. I've lived here for 40 years. I want Searcy.
Oh, you're just a pup then, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a pup that's about ready to go down. You know. But here's the thing about it. You get the thing and talk. We're talking just man to man.
Mm-hmm.
If we ended our city for 29 years, I'm not going to be here, and neither are you.
No, I'm not going to be here.
And how many city councilmen is going to be in 29 years?
Well, how many of their children are going to be here, and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren?
And right now, to the present time, we got people that really are hurting.
Oh, yeah.
We're hurting.
In the last 9 months, more so than ever.
For the last year, we've been under a great crisis this world and this city has never faced before. And we are under a crisis, and we're at 10.75% sales tax right now in the city of Searcy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can drive your industry completely away with too much taxes. They're leaving
Exactly
California right now. People in California are moving to the Texas industry. They're going from New York to Florida. Why can't we get some of that industry in Searcy, Arkansas? But I'm telling you, I'm a capitalist myself.
Me too.
I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist, and I think you can raise your revenue and taxes so high, industry turns your head.
Well,
and that's what Searcy begin to look at.
That's right, exactly right. Let me ask you this. Would it not be more fair to everybody involved with the infrastructure of Searcy? We all pay the taxes, and that's fine. But wouldn't it be better to have more industry come in than restaurants that are only going to hire probably their own families for the most part? Excuse me, and they're probably going to hire, and basically Mexican restaurants are what we have in town. And I mean, I'm being honest, and I eat Mexican restaurants, and I love them. So.
Where else are you going to eat?
Well, I mean, and I love it, but wouldn't it be more fair for our Chamber of Commerce to get out there and actually try to bring in industry, bring in some auto manufacturing, some pipe manufacturing, valve manufacturing, and such as that, because that would be much, much more desirable to have everyone with a job and paying taxes. Everyone wants to work. But this has nothing to do with it. Right now, this tax should be sunset. It should be gone.
And that's what they told the people.
And then let us work on it again.
But they told the people when they wanted it and needed it, and I supported it, they said it was going to sunset. Okay, we changed your mind at the end of the run, right? You changed the rules. You changed
in the middle of the stream.
You changed the rules on the people that voted and supported you, because you told them now you've got a different mayor and he wants to continue that. Then you changed the rules in the game. See, that's not really fair to the people that supported you.
Right, and I agree. I agree 100%.
You follow me on that?
Yes, I do. And
so whenever we passed the half-cent law enforcement tax in White County, I told them up front, this is continuous tax to build and maintain and run a county jail. And the city of Searcy has more prisoners than anybody, because they got the largest per capita of anybody in our county. They pay nothing for their prisoners in our county jail. They pay nothing for our city courtroom. It's supposed to be a district courtroom, but they use that. They have the pews out there. They pay no lights, water, gas.
So that's free.
It's all paid to the county.
It's paid to the county.
It's all to the county.
I did not know that.
I'd like to see the city.
Wait a minute. So our municipal court now is at the county
1600
building.
East Spruce Road.
It's at the county building.
County
And
building.
that's free to the city of Searcy.
That's right.
Is that also free to the other communities around White County?
Well, you know, they still have.
You mentioned a district.
Yeah, but that was built really at the time we were building that, and we started building in 04.
Okay.
It was completed
And I remember that, of course.
in 206. And then I left in December 31st, just before we opened the
Right.
jail. But I told the mayor at that time we would put, because I knew through the state legislature.
Now that was Belinda LaForce, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we was going to have a district court, only 2 of them in White County.
Mm-hmm.
So district court is that city of Searcy uses that as a municipal court.
Okay.
And now some of the smaller cities like Painburn and Kensington.
Well, now, did I understand it right when I heard, because I heard this, and I'm not sure whom I heard that from, but you built that municipal court inside there, and you just started saying that a while ago, I'm pretty sure. You did that because Searcy lost their...
Searcy lost theirs during a fire.
They lost, that's right, because I mentioned earlier, they had a fire department,
Yeah,
a municipal
city
court.
hall is upstairs.
And believe me, I spent a lot of time at municipal court, me and my motorcycles and cars. and I deserved every one of them, so I can't complain about that. And also, that was the, I'm sorry, not and also, I'll use the Queen's English, there was the police station was also in that building. So three facilities right there.
That's right.
Right, okay. So they lost that due to the fire we talked about earlier, and they had no place to hold municipal court.
That's right.
So out of the goodness of the county's heart,
We let them use.
you and the JPs got together, discussed it, says, we'll provide you with a, is that what I'm hearing?
That's right.
Okay, so I heard that correctly, and you were going there, I'm pretty sure of that.
So we build a law enforcement center.
Okay,
And Searcy's Municipal District Court is at 1600 East Spruce Road is being paid for by the county. City pays nothing on that.
so if that's money, no money out of their pocket.
No money.
They're not using any of this cent tax.
That's right. No money out of the
We're not using a 1/4 cent fire tax, we're not using a 1/2 cent tax. None of that's going toward that at all.
Our county's penny that we get 48% of is paying that.
Yeah, so now but don't they have to pay to incarcerate someone until they go to
No.
court? They don't pay that either?
No.
But didn't they used to have to pay?
At one time, we had to temporarily charge the larger cities.
Yeah.
That was
Because I remember one of the sheriffs while you were in, I know y'all butted heads on a lot of things, and I'm gonna say this, I'm not calling his name, love the boy to death. He's good folks, he's a good Marine, and I know you'd like to kill him half the time you was in there. I'm sure y'all forgiven each other for whatever those things were. And I know that politics makes people do strange things to try to get what each one of you need in particular for your position. And again, like I said, I've known you both a long time, and I know that y'all were doing what you thought was best for your position at the time. But I know that at that time he was trying to fight to get more money for the jails, and I think you had X amount of money you could spend or something like that. Am I right? I don't want to.
Well, see, when I got to be county judge, all of our sheriff's department, which was probably at that time for working in jail, and everybody in the sheriff's department was something like 38 employees or so.
Right.
All of that money come out of county general. So
The general fund.
out of all their salaries, the sheriff's department, I couldn't figure out why White County didn't have no money. But
I understand that now.
But I sat down and figured it out. Hey, it's all going to the sheriff's department. And our old jail was falling in, and the jails review committee told us, "Hey, Judge, you've got to get a new jail, or you got to get a different building. We're going to condemn this thing." The wiring was hanging down.
Yeah.
It was out of compliance. Period.
And I remember at one time someone broke out of that jail after it was built with a big cigarette lighter. Is that right?
That's right.
They put it up and melted the glass out of it because it's just plexiglass.
We're fortunate we got through without
Anybody getting harmed
liability.
in this? Yeah. Anyway, that was always a funny story to me. But
Yeah. So well.
and I do appreciate that. I know you went to a lot of effort because I remember during this time all the design and the testing y'all did on that design to make sure that the citizens of the county was safe from any perpetrator that could be mass murderer or something like that. Y'all wanted to make sure that once you put someone in, they came out when you let them out, not because they wanted out.
Well, Max, at that particular time, when I was there in the sheriff's department, only had about 4 deputies at nighttime.
Right.
Nighttime. And we're the second largest county in the state, and we have 4 deputies. And if you have something on the interstate, you can't get a hold of the trooper at that particular time. And I'm talking about 4 deputies for the entire part of White.
And y'all were real good at cooperation with the state police, the city departments.
And I wanted to do that.
And even with Game and Fish. I remember y'all backed up Game and Fish a lot.
Absolutely, because they're law enforcement.
That's exactly right. So it was great. Y'all were always great at cooperation.
But we built that, and we built a state trooper's office there in that facility because if we'd had a riot in the jail, we had state police on campus. That was my idea, to put them on the council on the
right. I now remember that. It was wonderful. I thought that was
anyway. It's a great facilities. But let me tell you, the Lord blessed us with bringing industry into White County when the Chesapeake came in here in 203.
Correct.
And they started them with building gas wells, and people started coming to town, and money was floating everywhere.
They were building houses.
They were building houses. They were building hotels.
And it overinflated the price of housing in Searcy in particular, but in White County as well. But it did bring in a great deal of tax.
Great revenue. People were putting up new fences, buying barn tractors from what have you out in the rural area. Our county was jumping and jumping.
You bet.
But boy, it was because of the workforce.
Right.
And that's why I keep saying, keep low taxes in our city.
But you're a businessman.